Hello.
Hello.
We are live. Cory doesn't have our projection here.
No, I don't. It's nice what I could see, though. I liked it.
Yeah, I'll put a little one up here. Well, I guess I'm going to be just sharing my screen a little bit today, so.
I feel like a bit of a disembodied head today. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's the only thing with the...
With the black backdrop and how I wear black all the time.
Oh, same.
I've really got
To blend in.
like a floating V-neck thing going on here. It's kind of fun.
Well, hello and welcome back to the MARZ live stream. We're here again today to teach you new things, hopefully, or talk about new things. I updated the title for today, and I think we're going to be talking about storyboarding, unless Cory has other ideas.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
Because I got some stuff out, and I got some things to show you. So in the past few episodes, we've been talking about like Foley and then just sound for video in general. And so last week, Cory put together sort of a cinematic piece, and we were, if y'all remember, I was thinking about what sort of visuals would go good with that. And part of that was storyboarding. And actually, I don't have my original notes are over there, but I think we're going to just be talking more about the process, and less about actually doing a storyboard, but just give you some like starter tips and things. And storyboarding is a pretty in-depth process, so and it's very important too, because it's one of the first steps that you take in actually visualizing your film or your short story or your music video or whatever it might be that you are working on. So I guess to start with, I have this book here. This is Exploring Storyboarding. This is the book that I learned from. This is the book I recommend. It's pretty much just a step-by-step guide on storyboarding. And there's a lot of just like general filmmaking rules in here too, because a lot of this you're like, the whole point of storyboarding is planning out the filming process and sort of visualizing it before you ever actually step foot on set, so that you don't get to the set and you're like, oh well, what are we actually filming here?
Right. Like, where's the camera gonna go? What kind of shot are we trying to get?
Exactly. Like, we've got a script, but general rule of thumb, you don't want to really add too much camera direction in your script. It's, I guess if you're writing the script and you're directing it and you're the cinematographer and you take on all these roles, it's not a huge deal if you add that stuff into your script. But if you're writing a script to be given off or sold or whatever it might be, you want to leave that stuff up to the director or the cinematographer, because they might have a different vision of the script than you originally did. So it's good to give that sort of creative freedom to the other creative people on your team. You have to share. In the words of was it Frodo or his friend that said share the load? That
sounds like a Sam.
I think it was Sam. Yeah, it was Sam talking to Frodo. It's a good way to think about filmmaking. You have to share the load. Otherwise, you definitely will get burnt out, especially on something like a longer, even short films too, but longer form, you got 2 hours of stuff to film, or a 2-hour long script. It's a lot of work. So anyways, definitely recommend this book if you're interested in storyboarding. It's a great starting point. This is actually the book that I learned from at CR when I took a pre-production class. So yeah, there's a lot of good info in there. So I guess I'll kind of run through sort of my technique now for storyboarding. I'm not a great 2D artist. I can draw sort of, but I don't claim to be an expert. So I use a lot of tools to help me kind of visualize things. So, of course, as you all know, I am a big fan of Blender. Blender being a 3D application that can produce pretty much any kind of visual media you want it to. Let me get my screen up here. I didn't realize how much of my room you can actually hear on this mic. You can hear about every click that I do on the keyboard and every mouse click. And the chair like squeaking.
Yep. Yep. I think it sounds a little better in there though with that treatment. I really do. Slightly.
A little bit.
Not like not a shocking amount better, but like a little better.
Still pretty boxy.
Yeah, that's you got to change the shape of the room if you want it to not sound like a box.
I see. Let me move our thing around. Got to. Sorry, give me 1 second to get us set up here. Yeah, Corey, your framing is pretty funny today. That was my bad.
I can't see it now, so I can't do much about it.
It's all right. We'll make it work. There we go. Live editing here.
We were talking about a bunch of other stuff right before the stream and made a little distracted before we got started.
Oh, yeah. Didn't get a chance to, yeah. But anyways, so here we are in Blender. Of course, those of you who have watched before are probably familiar with Blender. But like, say if you know, I'm thinking of a shot. You know, I want to do some basic, you know, any kind of composition. You can do all that in Blender. You can even get so detailed as to change your camera settings to match that of the actual camera you have. So you can kind of think about things like perspective and scale and all that good stuff. So, and here you've got, in your properties panel over on the side, you've got options like setting your focal length. So 50 is a very common lens focal length called the nifty 50. Like every cinematographer, it's like kind of a cliche thing to have a 50 millimeter lens. But of course you can change that. You want something more telephoto, you can zoom in to 80 is usually considered a portrait lens, or you can zoom out to something wider and get kind of you know, you want to do wide landscape views or something like that. But here in Blender, you know, you can set this up, like say this is I'll use this just as for blocking, like this is my little character here. And then maybe definitely want to add in a floor or something, have a plane where I can kind of visualize where the floor is. And then with my camera, I can just move around and position this frame. This isn't the greatest character setup, but say like here's a character, I'm gonna add another plane. Here's a character, and I want, you know, them to, I guess I want them probably to be the same size, so I can just duplicate this one. But you get the idea that I could sort of build out a scene and have I mean, with this you can animate this if you wanted to, but I could also take this, render it out, and draw on it if I had sort of, you know, maybe this is actually, you know, maybe these are trees or something, and there's a road. I can add in something to act as the road. This is sort of a very rough. I should have had a demo ready to go, but
I mean, this makes sense. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so like you know, you can start composing your scene, elements in your scene. Maybe if I actually had a character here. I mean, it's just like our diner scene that we did before. Like I could use that as a storyboard essentially.
Yeah.
You know, even if I get on a although I can't. Whoops.
Yeah, you can just do like cubes and cones or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't. You know, I can throw. Let's go into edit mode here and throw a.
Whoa.
On top of this, here's our head for our character, and then of course this one should be. I shouldn't have scaled this one because I want the people to be the same shape. Here's the people, little pawns kind of things. They can, but you get your perspective. So of course, you know, you don't have to worry about things like your vanishing point and all that sort of stuff. So like if I scaled this road up really far, this path or whatever it is, I can, you know, as it goes further into distance, it gets smaller. It's a pretty common, even in this book I just saw when I flipped through the pages here, there's a whole section about doing perspective. somewhere in here. But they add in like what you would kind of draw. What you could do is draw over this your camera motion. You could even do a basic animation too, and then like make this into a whole timeline. So I could like take my camera and say, you know, this I want it to be. I want a 2-shot of these people. Maybe I'll give them a little bit of a nose so I can see where their front is here. There we go. Is that working? Nope. It's good. Noses are a good indication of the front of a character. If you need something basic.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I want to scale it up there. Nope. Scale. Yeah. There we go. So this character needs a nose too, so I'm just going to duplicate this again. So say they're sitting here, or they're talking, or whatever. They're sitting on a bench. Here we go. Here's our makeshift bench. I mean, it has to, you know, it's just all you really need is a basic idea of how you're framing your shot. Okay, so this is starting to formulate into a scene here. I've got 2 characters that are hanging out on a bench in the park, and I want to... So Blender's kind of my new go-to for doing this sort of thing. I like to, you know, you can get as detailed as you want to, but here's the bench. Say they're sitting here.
And I can see, like, if you're in the habit of doing this a ton, that you might, like, hang on to some basic models of some things and have, like, a little library of some chairs and tables and people and doors and blah, blah, blah. That, like, you know, like a simple car shape.
Totally.
Some objects, you know.
You could get a whole library of just assets that you could use for, you know, for different stuff. So let's make this character a little bit taller. There we go. Okay. They're standing. So here's my scene. They're standing up. They walked up to this person sitting on the bench. So like, okay, here's our scene now. So, you know, maybe I want a wide shot here. I could go way out, and this is the wide shot. Say I've got like, you know, trees or something in the background. You could take this and you could... There's the annotation tool. There's also what's called a grease pencil in Blender that you can like draw in your scene. But like, for example, like, okay, here's some like, whoops, I did not mean to go all the way back out. There's some trees in the background or something. Or I could put in, like I did in the diner, I just slapped a picture in the background as the scenery. Like, so say there's mountains and trees, and if they're, I guess they're in a park, it's like, you know, got some trees and stuff. And
it's pretty cool how you can just like reframe the shot. It's like a really, you know, like I could see it like being a little more, you know, if you're really fast with like a pen and paper, like just being able to like quickly sketch this out is probably really efficient, but you miss out on the experimentation stuff that you get to do with the camera as like a, you know, independent of the scene itself, you know. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's super nice for that. Just, you know, and like you said, if you had assets and stuff, like things already set up where you had like a character that you could just drop in and, you know, pose in whatever pose you needed, and, you know, duplicate that character, make as many as you wanted, had sort of these things already set up, it would be, the workflow would be super easy.
Yep.
So like I can go back and say, okay, here's my first shot. I'll key in the camera here. I'll just hit I and do location rotation. And then say I time it out. Like maybe I've got an idea of the pacing here. I can like start to think of my pacing. It's like, okay, I want it to stay on this wide shot. And this is set 24 frames a second, pretty standard like cinematic frame rate. I can just hit play and think, okay, I want a wide shot for a little bit. Maybe this character is, you know, I could even animate this if I really wanted to. Whoops. I'm going to key in this again and like say this character starts over here at the beginning of this. Grab them, they're walking on the path or something. So my shot starts with them, like maybe they're out of frame and that whole time they're walking up to the other character at like, I think, what did I go to? 100 or so. So then here, grab them, So something as basic as that, now this character is going to sort of walk up and I can start to figure out my timing. And so this is like what you can do with this then. You can either like take still frames out of this, or you can, I mean, who doesn't have a tablet or their phone with them? You could like watch through and see your shots. It's nice to have paper, of course, but this you could like send to your, say you're the cinematographer and you're doing this, and then you can send this straight to your director and be like, oh, how do you feel about these shots? And there you have like an already sort of really rough cut of your film before you even set foot on location. So like here, if I play this, you can see this character walks up. Does that seem like enough time? They stop in front of that character. And then maybe here, the camera cuts to, we'll go a frame, do our walk navigation again. Of course, our annotations are just floating in the sky. But maybe we cut into a close-up of this character. Maybe they turn their head to look at this other character here. So you kind of get the idea, and there's our cut. So it just cuts in. Well, it's a pretty abrupt cut, but so you can see how you can start forming it together. There's that character, and he says, oh, what are you doing here? And then we can bring out that shot, give it some time, and then go another frame, cut this, get our over-the-shoulder shot here of this character looking. Maybe it's like right there or something. Key that in.
Is it common to do these like kind of video, like fully animated sort of storyboards?
I think it's getting more common. The kind of like the one that you were showing me the other day for the music video. It's like, it's almost like a fully realized thing. Then it's particularly common, I think, in animation too. Like, say if you're doing like a fully animated film, a lot of times you have, maybe you've already done the voice acting. Maybe the script has already been performed by the voice actors or something, or you have, some idea of the pacing of the story, and you've sort of got. You could even do like, even if it's not your final actor, you can do like a script read and figure out the pacing and then start to like build upon, because even with animated films, like they don't just jump right into the animating full on. That are gonna, the animators are gonna sit down, or their storyboard artists are gonna sit down and do concept art and draw out, the storyboards and then line it up with shots. So I think the nicest thing with doing it this way is the pacing. So of course on paper, you can't really get the pacing down. Like I'll put sometimes, I like to do it if I've got just like the script. It's like, actually I've got a script over here. Let me go grab it real quick. 1 second.
While you're grabbing that, like I was showing you that storyboard that I got sent for that project the other day. Unreleased project I didn't end up actually working on, so I shall not be sharing it here. Definitely none of my business, but it was cool. It was 2D stills, but it was assembled as a video with audio. Mm-hmm. So there was like a like table read, like I assume it was a recording of something like a table read, and then it was a completely static shots. I think maybe there were some like light zooms or something, but it was really basic. But you did get a sense of the pacing, because it would like really show you the shot for the length of time. So like anything like I feel like this is like the next level of detail from that, where like you can really convey more of your specific idea here, which was like for better or for worse, right? Maybe you want to be this specific and maybe you don't, but it's cool to have the option.
Yeah, I like this because of the perspective stuff. Because perspective really helps me sort of feel more in that place. It's not entirely necessary, but like here's an example of a storyboard. This is from our yet to be released student film, Out of Order. Some of you may have remembered us showing the trailer for that. I think that was before we even moved. That was one of our really early live streams.
Totally. I believe we remixed it in here.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it a few times. Yeah. But you can see that this is like, they use stick figures, or little, I guess they're a little more than stick figures, but still enough, like, and a little blurb about, you know, the shot and the scene, and some camera direction, and then, you know, you just got something real basic. But I could essentially, I'll add a third person to this, and it would be the same. You know, maybe there were 2 people on this bench. See how easy this is to, like, change the scene. It's like, oh, I wanted to add a friend for that other person. And maybe it's like, oh, I know you or something. Let's see. Oops, where did they go? Where did the friend go? There he is.
It's so flexible. It's just so cool how flexible it is. Like, I just love that if you're like, I don't really like how this is framed, you just move the camera instead of redrawing the whole scene.
Right.
It's just so practical. There's a lot, you know. Oh yeah, there's
even shading. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh man,
do all your lighting stuff.
What a pain to like relight the scene if you're drawing it by hand. Oh god. There's a lot of parallels here with like prepping audio projects, but it's like a lot of the same concepts. Just like the clearer your vision is of the later stages of the project, the easier it is to make good choices at the beginning. You know, and so like taking the pre-production time to figure out exactly what you want and what the end goal is can just like streamline the decision-making process so much further down the line.
Right.
And you're talking about sharing the load. Well, it's like deciding who's going to do, like what the load is before you can start sharing, you have to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
And so like you can't do that until everyone's on the same page. And usually, you know, like, even though these are big collaborative projects, there's usually someone or a smaller number of people who are like leading the vision, you know? Like,
right.
There's like the producer, the director, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, anyways, it's a really cool way to convey those ideas and like manipulate them.
Oh, yeah. So like this, like I just added another person, like say, oh, we rewrote this scene where we want Sam to be in this scene to be there for Frodo. We just duplicated him and now he's in the scene. I just moved the camera out a little bit. Like I'm like, okay, I got to reframe the shot. So now, Pippin walks up to Sam and Frodo and, oh, well, my shot didn't get reframed. Hold on, I got to key that in. I just want to pull out a little bit. There we go. Key. I can even add some camera motion. Like say maybe I want this to
a little slow zoom or whatever.
Slow it, yeah, pan like dolly into. That was a little bit weird, but I don't know why it. Whoa, okay.
That's exciting.
I'm not actually sure why it's decided to do that, but
it's a thrill and a delight.
Almost makes it look handheld, like
totally.
Okay.
Yeah, you got that. The like
unintentional.
Totally little camera waggle.
But yeah, you guys get the idea. So that I love using this. This is kind of like if I was to do a storyboard for like a full production, I would probably end up doing it in 3D just because I'm really comfortable in this environment. And it's totally up to you. You could do like obviously this is much quicker, but like I said, if you've got all the assets, like Cory was talking about too, is it would really speed up your workflow. But you can see even in this, like there's some camera direction and like arrows, like either like if you're zooming out or zooming in or dollying out or whatever it might be, or panning left and right, you can add that direction into your storyboard. So like the one thing I was getting to, why I grabbed the script. So here's an example of a script. You've got your scenes, you've got your pieces of your action. I guess this first part is the description of the characters, but here's some dialogue. So what I like to do once I get the script, and before I even were to, if I jumping into Blender, I would probably get on here and grab my pencil. I know I don't have a top-down cam, but I would block out, like, think about this. Okay, I'm reading through the script. I would get over on the side here, like say, okay, I blocked out those 2 lines of dialogue. Make sure I'm still in here. Let me get in the full screen here. 2-shot.
Can you pass that over here?
Oh yeah, so you can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, that would be helpful.
Didn't want to interrupt you, but
no. There you go.
Thank you.
So, okay, here's the 2 lines of dialogue here. I put a little bracket on the side, and then what I would do is just like, okay, I want that to be one shot together, so I would just draw my little box over on the side. I actually don't remember what's happening here. Let's see, they're getting coffee, I think. Walks down to the plaza. Okay, so they're at the plaza. They've got Jitterbean coffee, iced coffee.
Is that a product placement?
I guess.
Like a sponsor.
It is like, yeah, it's in, so there's 3 characters here. So yeah, like maybe, I can't remember, I think if I remember right. So like this scene would probably have some perspective. So like, okay, I'm drawing a little road on there, and then I have 3 characters. So maybe, you know, I've got one character that's walking up. So I would do this. I would do like little
like little mini comics.
Mini comic. Yeah, so she's got the coffee cup, and then there's 2 people like waiting. And like I said, I'm not a great, you know, you could spend a lot of time on these, but like, you know, okay, there's 3 people, one person walks up with the coffee, you know, that as simple as that. And then I know that, okay, now I jump into Blender and like I can bring in those things and model that scene and add that camera motion and stuff, which is pretty fun. So, but yeah, that's a big part of like with the script is just, this really helps me just doing little, you know, and as many as you need. Like say this next thing, like this character, you know, it's just that one line. I want a super close up on their face, so I'm just gonna like, you know, I could draw, you know, the shoulders in their face there, and I don't know, have some. Sometimes I'll put like on their shirts, if there's a certain character, you can like write their initials or something. Like this is Bobby, like I'll put a B on his shirt. It's not a very good B, but you get the point. It looks more like a, don't judge my handwriting. There we go.
Not.
There's Bobby.
Go Bobby.
So like, yeah, you kind of, you can do that. Really simple. It doesn't have to be, to that first phase of just like developing your storyboard. So that's one way. Another way, there's a few different ways. Another way that I've done in the past as well is if you have access to your location, I love to go out and get photos of where you're going to be filming, and then you can draw in the characters. Like take, say, like I've got my iPad here, and right now I'm using Procreate. I don't know. Let's see. I don't have my rotate. So I've actually just like essentially put in a digital copy. See if that will.
Good enough.
Darker. It's bright. Oh, here, let me lower my brightness. That might help. I put in, there we go. Yeah. So I've essentially just a digital copy of a storyboard. But the cool thing that I can do with this is if I have like a picture, which I think I do have actually a picture of the plaza. Speaking of the plaza, when I briefly had an iPhone, I had gone out and taken pictures of the plaza to test out the camera. So they've been on my cloud ever since.
All right.
So with Procreate, you can insert a photo. Oh, here's a cool one here. Oh yeah, this is the plaza. Look at that. Downloading from iCloud. There's the plaza. Okay, so I can shrink that down and put it in, and put it into one of those boxes. So, and then in Procreate, you can actually draw over the top of. It doesn't quite fit, but there you go. You kind of get the idea. So there, now the plaza's in that box. And so I could come in here and like zoom in. It's actually, Procreate does a really great job of like keeping the resolution. Actually, let's see if I can move
Or like even when it doesn't like downscale it when you shrink it.
It does I haven't, I mean it does, but it's not terrible. Like I can zoom in here real close. Get my, should have had my NDI thing for my tablet.
Oh, right. I've noticed that I've used Procreate a little bit. I have it as well, and it's pretty wild how like high resolution everything seems to function at.
Yeah.
Like all those. It seems almost like a vector program, like that you can like zoom like crazy far. Obviously, it's not, but.
So the cool thing with this then is like I could take this picture. I could. I probably should have layered it, because if I layered it, then I could go into my filter properties. Oh, it is a layer. Okay. So what I did is just like made it a little kind of, took the transparency down a little bit just to kind of fade it out. And then if I don't have my pen with me, but I could just draw in my characters in this scene even though they're not there. So I can, there's my perspective done, my scene's done. I know kind of the angle that I want. I know what's going to look good in the background. And that's like, that's already a great start. I've got the location exactly where I would need to stand. And, I like the 2 light poles on the side. It's kind of like there's some symmetry going on. It's kind of cool. So you can do that through all your things. So like I said, if you got access to where you're going to be shooting, which is I always recommend going out and location scouting. So you might as well be taking pictures while you're doing it. That's a great thing to do. So the other thing I have to show is this other program that I've just discovered actually this morning when I was thinking about doing this stream, which is kind of cool. Let me switch back over to my desktop here. So this is another desktop or PC software. I'm not sure if it's on Mac or not. It's just called Storyboarder, I believe. Yep, Storyboarder. It is free. I don't think, as far as I understand, it didn't seem like there was a paid version. So, although I did not look too deep into it, but essentially, this is like kind of like using Procreate, but this has some more features that you can actually go through and draw on. So I'm sure that, I haven't used it too much. Might be worth exploring some more. But let's get in. I don't know. I've got a tablet hooked up. I don't like that pen. No, not that one. What's this? Like I said, I haven't explored it too much. There's pastel. Ooh, that might look cool. Do some neat... Oh, Jameson's in the chat.
Jameson.
What's up? Oh, you've used this before. Awesome.
Storyboarder.
Yeah, this is the first time I've looked for good like free storyboarding software, and I had never been able to find it. Oh yeah, look at that. That's funny. Yeah. So this is kind of a new one. I've been exploring it a little bit, but I don't know if I like this pen either. It has little funny comments when you do stuff. Ooh, that's a nice one. I like that better. Of course, got pressure sensitivity, so I definitely recommend a tablet. So it might not look like much here, but I was trying to recreate that plaza scene. Like here's the telephone poles. This is kind of terrible, but get the idea. And then there were those palm trees in the background too. But yeah, so what you can do with this is create your storyboards this way if you do like drawing. And the cool thing about this is, so let's get our palm trees in here just to see. I can do like a different color if I wanted to, like have a foreground color and a background color. These don't look like palm trees, do they?
It seems pretty palm tree-y.
Get that.
There you go.
Palm fronds on there. Fronds?
Fronds.
Palm fronds.
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 Frond is such a funny word, isn't it?
There.
Say it too many times. Isn't there a character in Bob's Burgers?
I haven't really watched that much. I've seen a few episodes, but
in my personal experience, I thought it was funnier earlier. But like many things, when they go on for a long time and don't change the formula, it stays the same.
yeah. So
maybe it's still good. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Here's my plaza shot. Sort of get the idea. But the cool thing with this one, so of course you can go in here and like you can duplicate, you can add more shots here. So like here's
you can set like a length for them too. Huh?
Yeah, that's the cool part. Here's Bob or Bobby here. And then give him some curly hair, just to kind of distinguish him a little bit more. I don't know why I felt like Bobby has curly hair. There we go. But yeah, you get, you can go in here and draw. It's got some nice different, simple UI. You got some options for like, we haven't really talked about the rule of thirds guide, but and other guides here. You can actually turn multiple on at the same time, which is cool. Oh, some grid lines. Rule of thirds is a good thing. You can also do this in Blender. In your camera settings, there is a, I believe it's in...
Composition guides in the viewport display.
Composition.
So back in the it's in the.
Oh, did I miss it there?
At the bottom.
Oh, yep, there it is. Within the thing, thirds. There it is. Same deal. It looks like they've got some other ones like the golden ratio, which is like the thirds but a little bit tighter. Some triangle ones. These are all interesting. Probably go and talk about these for a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious. I'm familiar with the idea of the rule of thirds being like that you can break up the visual area into 3 regions, and there's also the comedic rule of threes, which is a little different. Just repeat things 3 times. And that's as much as you can repeat them. So I'm curious about like these like so there's like the golden ratio one, which is like the thirds but tighter and like you said.
Yeah.
So it's the notion that like following that guide gets you like a shot, like a tight or like a wide frame around a shot kind of thing. Is that the notion compared to thirds?
I'm not exactly sure what the idea is behind the golden ratio. There is probably a whole essay that we could find about it, but you can tell that I was already using the rule of thirds. See how like. That's the thing about this one is that I assume that with the golden ratio 2, you see the difference here. Actually, both of them on at the same time kind of makes sense. But kind of what you want to aim for is to put the general idea, and it's more of I wouldn't say it's a rule as much as it is a guide.
Right.
Since I call it composition guides. But putting your subjects in one of these 4 points is sort of the idea. So that's why I've got Sam or Frodo, whichever one this is, their head like pretty much smack in the middle of that particular quadrant. We can look at this other one. This is kind of the same. Like they're right in the lower point. That's where my focus is, and this other character is just kind of coming into the scene. He's not really the focus of the scene. We got our funny camera motion, and then same here. Like there's plenty of room. There's that look room for this character to kind of see out here while this other character is probably still walking up or something.
Right. And it's and they're probably like come to fill in that other third spot right there.
Right. We could even slide this over. Let's change our timing here so maybe our character's still walking up. See if we can grab it, move it far enough over. So I'm changing the camera speed, but I'm not actually changing the speed at which this character walks up to them. So we might be able to catch him like moving up to them. Nope, not quite.
Speedy guy.
There he is. Yep. So then now we've got that in the scene where he's coming into the shot.
Oh my gosh! And that's like so many like frames that you'd have to redraw to make that change.
Yeah.
If you were drawing this?
If you were trying to animate this and draw it by hand, yeah, you would.
Well, I mean, you're just storyboarding it. There's like 3 panels that you'd have to, or frames, maybe not the right word, but like 3 storyboard panels that you'd have to redraw.
Oops.
Like, instead of just moving a couple of the keyframes around. Pretty efficient. I love it.
Yeah. So like say, I'll get this guy out. For some reason, there's 2 of them. I don't know why, but that one's going to go away. Have him move up here a little bit more. Here we go. So then I can actually like put him in that quadrant, and maybe he turns to them. There we go.
He'll do one of those slow turns.
Yeah, he's going to be turning as he walks, but slides into view.
Yeah.
Perfect. There he's in that, plenty of room there. He's got, maybe this would be better framed more like this, because now that character is the subject. So, so it's something that you start to like. You'll start to see it even if you don't have it on. You can kind of visually, you get an idea of kind of where things in the frame should be placed. It's a big should be is a big, up to your creative decision. But there definitely is like a general rule that's good to learn, and then it's like one of those things that you learn them, and then you can break the rules. But like with this, so yeah, looks like you got, oh, that's cool, onion skinning. So just like an animation, you can see your last frame. So if you've got, maybe in this next frame, you could draw like, let's see, can we duplicate this frame? There's an option somewhere in here. Like I said, I hadn't really used this before, so, captioning. Oh, I think that you can also, so over here is like these are the same kind of things you saw on the physical like storyboard. Your shot and your description and stuff like that. Action is like this part of the script. The hands, Madison hands coffee to Sylvia. That's the action. Your dialogue, of course, is the dialogue. And you can looks like you can add a duration in here, but you can also go into timeline mode and move these around and like re-time these. And I guess when you play, we're going to get, 1 second of that, 2 seconds of that, 2 seconds of that. So this could be a pretty cool tool. I think I might actually mess with this some more and maybe use it for a storyboarding class next semester. I think that would be pretty fun. Seems pretty straightforward.
It's a nice like kind of middle point between the hand-drawn and the fully 3D. I saw this has the 3D features you were playing with earlier too.
Yeah, so the other thing with this, it's got a really interesting 3D designer thing. So you click on this little shot generator thing over here, and then let me grab a new, okay, I've got this new frame up. Let me turn on onion skinning. So this should save it to, I don't like that, there it is. I was dual screening this earlier, and that worked pretty good because you can have this other window on the other screen. It opens a whole other workspace. So what you can do is just click on character here, and it drops in a little mannequin.
This is what we were talking about, right? Like your character models and stuff. Whoa, I feel like it seems somewhat intelligent here.
Yeah, so this is an IK rig, just like you could set up in Blender.
Okay.
But yeah, you can, essentially this is already set up for you. So you can use these little control points to move the character around. So say I wanted to make like the same scene that I did before. They've got some objects. Whoa.
Cube man.
That was weird. The UI just like changed.
Resized.
Resized resolution.
That's interesting.
But they've got a whole bunch of different assets here. Like, is there a bench that we can use? So they can remake our same scene here. I can't read it anymore. I see chairs. There's a couch here. Let's put them on a couch. The couch
trapped in the couch.
Awfully huge. But let's see here. I think. No, that's not the right one. That's the rotation. I want to grab the whole thing.
Is there like a root bone in there somewhere?
That's why I was trying to grab the pelvis here, but it does not. Maybe I'll just move the couch. Yep, that's a little easier. Seems like it's locked to the ground, which is nice. Oop, maybe not. Definitely takes some getting used to the controls. The couch seems a little bit large to me compared to the person. Maybe I'll shrink it down a little bit. Oh, not that small. But yeah, this is cool because it's already, it's got this stuff built in. It's a very reminds me of Google SketchUp, which was an old, that was actually the first 3D application I used was Google SketchUp, made for doing drafting and stuff like that. Even before Blender, I was messing around with that. So here's our dude on the couch. Let's see if I can grab his arm here. It's a little bit different controls than Blender, so it takes some getting used to. So when I'm zooming, I'm actually changing. You can see our camera up here. It tells you the millimeters, so that's the focal length. You can see as I go out, it's getting wider, and as I go in, it's getting narrower, so more telephoto. And remember, as you get a more telephoto lens, it actually compresses the background too. So your perspective is different depending on what your focal length of your lens is. So things in the background will look closer. See if I can actually get a good example of this. If I put like some object in. So they're going to be on a couch outside, I guess, because I was just going to add a tree.
Can you automate like a pole zoom on here or whatever they call it? The dolly zoom?
The dolly zoom? Maybe. I know how to do it in Blender. I'm not sure about in this, but I still can't quite figure out how to.
I feel like that's like the, you know, like you can say like, oh, changing it changes your perspective, but I feel like just seeing it move like that makes it really clear what it's doing.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah, let's see if we can get it to, well, I get it to kind of do that. Let's see.
Yeah, well, you can definitely do the length thing, but the length of the motion would be harder.
So here's the tree. So, you know, the tree looks fairly far away from our character here, but if I start to zoom in, it should seem like it's flat. Yeah, the tree gets bigger and...
like faster than he does.
Yeah, so you can kind of tell a little bit that the perspective is changing. Maybe if I zoom up here, this will work. No. You can sort of see it. No, don't grab the couch.
I feel like it's not doing it as much as I would expect.
Yeah.
For some reason.
It is kind of harder to see when it's not moving there, but you can kind of tell how it's flattened out. The tree is not actually necessarily, it's such a weird phenomenon that, there we go, but it is a lot more sensitive when you zoom in further. Now I can't tell what size that lens is. So this is kind of cool though. You get like a top-down view of what you're doing. That's actually, I think they've used that in, it's a pretty common way of setting up your shot too. If you've got kind of some complex camera motion, you could do a top-down view. I really like top-down views because you get a sense of where things are. So you can see like our adult male one is facing toward the camera, but if we move the camera over here, and it's rotating around the tree, changes the direction he's facing. We can get our close-up here. But what you can do with this is, how do I move down? You can roll, oh, elevation. There we go. Oh, it's a little bit. There. Here's a shot. You can also do lighting, and I don't know what volume is. You can add some like, is that rain? That looks like rain.
Yeah, to give you like some sort of sense of the volume of the space.
I guess.
Like, yeah.
Explosion, is that what that said? Volume. Yeah, explosion. Built in. So yeah, then you can do custom ones there. He's sitting on a couch in the rain with the tree.
Yeah, we've all been there.
So here's my shot. I'm gonna actually give him some room to look out. I'm gonna go like that. And I know there's like all sorts of hand gestures you can do. You can like set both hands to be relaxed or something. Maybe I gotta give him some like. I just wanted to look kind of.
Yeah, there you go.
Look a little bit more natural. But...
That looks so natural. Looks like how my back feels.
You can also, of course, take every bone and rotate it. I just want to rotate. I do find that I see something on the ground.
Yeah, he's like perturbed by his hand.
The Blender rigs and stuff are definitely a little bit easier to work with in my experience. These are kind of hard to tell what the controls are. Like which one, I can't really tell.
It's definitely erring on the side of like a clean interface versus like in-depth controls. And it seems to also be like when you move the rig, it seems like it's doing more with that motion than the Blender models do. Do you know what I mean? Like it seems like it's like taking that as an implication of a lot more movement than like some of the models I've played with in Blender. I don't know if that's your experience, but.
A little bit, yeah. There is some, well, especially with the hands and stuff like that.
With
IK,
the hands,
it's all, yeah. So you can do that stuff in Blender too. It just
Sure.
depends on how you set it up.
Right. I'm seeing the extra bones in the hand that our rigs usually don't have.
Mm-hmm. All that stuff. Yeah.
That's what it is, I think.
So, Well, there's my character sitting, and so you can see as I move the camera around up there, it changes. There's the volume. I don't know why that's in the top down. I don't think you really need that. But so what you can do is, if I get an angle here that I like, let's go with that. So this is actually showing me the whole, like, what the camera's seeing. So I can hit save to board here. And there's some settings and things that I haven't messed with, but in here, there's our new shot. There's Bobby has evolved into a mannequin.
So I have a workflow question here. So is that like shot generator? Is that like is that scene like per board or whatever?
It seems like it's actually per shot.
Okay.
So if I were to add a new, if I were to go to boards, add a new one, it goes away. So I'm not actually sure how to.
So you'd like duplicate that and then reframe it or whatever if you wanted to continue using it?
Yeah, you probably, okay, duplicate board. Yeah, and then go into.
That's interesting.
Oh, there
yeah,
it is,
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Now I could go, like, say I want to get a close-up shot. I'm going to move up a little bit. That camera control is like, there we go. Yeah, that works. There we go. Okay, there's my new shot. Saved to board. See if that worked. Yep. Cool. Jumped into a close shot. I mean, it's not a great, probably shouldn't, might feel a little bit like a jump cut. It's not too bad. But yeah, seems like a pretty cool piece of software. I'll have to mess with this more. You can definitely seems like you can do a lot with it. You can add, I did see that you could do, there was something in here where you could add in sounds, add audio file.
Oh yeah, it's all like on the right in that shot, like in that little like vertical set of options on the far right, like under the shot generator. If you scroll
down here.
Yep. Yeah, there's a select audio file under the notes.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So like, so what this is for is so you can like upload your like dialogue or I mean presumably dialogue. I can't imagine that you're dropping like score or stuff. But if you had some sort of like audio, music accompanying a scene. This would be a great chance to communicate to your composer what you had in mind. Mm-hmm. So, like, throw a reference. Like, I mean, I don't know if this gets used that way, but like, if I were composing for a film and I was being shown a storyboard, I would love reference tracks of like, here's the sort of music I had in mind. Like
right.
Assuming it's like some projects like you give the audio person free reign and just tell them to do whatever, but like. Like if you're taking the time to compose a shot and all this stuff, you probably have some notion of what the sound world is. Like maybe all you know is there is music, and you just find some piece of stock music to fill the gap, and that'll just give some indication of you're just trying to provide as much information as you can to folks who are going to do the actual production. And so it's neat that they let you give the information in however many forms you want and like generate stuff, 2D, 3D, you have audio, you can, it's pretty cool. Does it all.
Yeah, it's got some neat features. And it's all a matter of what workflow works best for you. I've given you a lot of options here. Of course, you can just go back to good old pen and paper and do your storyboards that way. And, it depends on how much you really want to put into your pre-production work. I find it to be really valuable. Other people do very little pre-production, but you got to do some. I feel like just going out there and not having a plan at all, at least a shot list, which is essentially just a storyboard without the pictures, just like, here's the shot I want to get. Like, I want to get a low angle on the, I want to get, a two shot on the bench or with the characters on the bench, and then, cut to a wide shot of the character. At least like that stuff is the bare minimum, I feel like. So.
It becomes really important too, like if you're just one person, you can kind of like hold the stuff in your mind, maybe. So you probably should do it anyways. But as soon as you have a team, two people, you need to know what the plan is, and you can't be like trying to, or you can, but you really shouldn't be trying to like hash it out in the shoot.
Right.
Like I haven't done a lot of like video work in particular, but like I've been on camera. and for photo and video shoots, and it can be maddening when there's not a plan. And then also it's like, because it's also, before you make a plan, you have to figure out who's in charge. And, you know what I mean? And so a lot of times with video stuff, like at least like the hierarchy, or like, the who's in charge is like sometimes more obvious, but it's just about like making sure that there's some sort of shared goal that everyone's working towards and that everyone understands what it is.
Yeah, if anything, do it for your actors, do it for your crew. Like, it just makes everyone's life so much easier when you get on set and you're like, okay, we're doing this.
Yes.
Here's the shot. This is what's happening. You know exactly, for both, like, for everybody's sanity and your own, it's like, it's really valuable stuff, the pre-production.
And it's true of any kind of creative project, anytime you're working with a team, but any kind of creative project at all, music projects, like any, like events, like anything. If you need to like sort of figure out what it is you're going to do before you start to do it. Seems obvious, but people skip that step and they show up in the recording studio like, okay, let's go, and we're like, well, what are we doing?
Yeah. It's the moral of the story.
Yeah, decide what you're going to do.
Decide what you're going to do and then share the load.
Yeah, and then explain it to people so that they can take on the individual tasks. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that stuff, Jay. That stuff's really cool.
Yeah, I know I'm pretty rusty with it. I got to get back into it. I'm going to be teaching a pre-production class. So we're going to be like screenwriting and storyboarding and stuff this next semester. So I'll be getting some new information and kind of practicing this stuff myself. And so hopefully we'll take that piece of music that Cory made and do a short script and storyboard for it. So I'll be totally down to share that with you guys once that's finished. So you kind of get an idea of that process, and then we'll try to go out and film it, and maybe we'll do something on the editing. I think we can at least do that. It's kind of hard to get out to the field and film stuff, but maybe we'll do like a behind the scenes thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you could. Yeah, maybe I could come like film you filming or something.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Put it all together.
Cool. All right, everybody.
Awesome.
We're going off the air. We'll see you next time. Thanks to all our sponsors and everything, and we'll be back here next week with another exciting episode of the MARZ Project livestream.
We'll be here. Have a good one, y'all.